I am Coach Sess, and you are listening to Words with the Mad Coach. Okay, everyone, this is Coach Sess, and just like I promised, I said that I would do a standalone audio for Elite Warrior Challenge 13 coming up November 18th in Roanoke, Virginia. I am going to run down some of the fights that intrigue me. This card has a bit of boxing on it, a bit of Muay Thai on it, and some MMA. There are 7 MMA fights listed right now. I'm just going to touch upon those very quickly. I don't know the boxing or the Muay Thai card as of now, but if I get that information and it becomes relevant, I will post another audio for you. Let's get started. So out of the 7 fights, 4 of them are title fights, and 2 of them belong to my stablemates, Aries, Artis, and Isaiah Monroe. Let's start at the bottom of the card. Well, I'm not exactly sure of the order, but this is the only female fight so far listed, and it's Jonah Wood taking on Crystal Van Wyck. And just looking at my notes here, I think Wood has 2 fights already in the books, and they're waiting on the results for one of them, but she's at least 1-0 right now with a win by submission. And Van Wyck has 1 fight confirmed, and she lost that fight by submission. So my logic says I am going to go with Wood. It's really difficult sometimes because you kind of look at who they fought, the competition, how good they were, blah 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 blah, the show, the event. So for right now, I'm just gonna go with Wood as being the better opponent in that fight. Moving on, let's go to the bottom of the card. Okay, Zion Tomlinson taking on Dennis Fruitrail. Again, another difficult fight. Fruitrail has no fights listed, but that doesn't mean he didn't come from boxing, wrestling, or Thai boxing or something like that. But that information is just usually not readily available. But Tomlinson has at least 1 fight, but that was some time ago. But he is with a good team, and Fruitrail, I can't really pin him down. It looks like he hangs out with some of the guys from Team Rock Bottom and some of the guys from Primal MMA. It's a toss-up fight, but I'm going to go with Tomlinson just because he already has experience. KJ Lucas against Jason Carroll. KJ has more fights, I do believe, so it doesn't make sense to me that he would go in there against a guy with very few fights and lose his mind. I think he's 3-5, and I think Carroll is 0-1. So with that being the situation, I'm just going to go with the fact that Lucas has the experience. He's going to go in there and do what he needs to do and get it done. And I think Lucas is coming from Team Rock Bottom Athletics. Then we have DeMar Holloway and Kyle Johnson. Okay, so I looked up the records of these guys, and Johnson has about 15 fights listed. Johnson has a lot of opportunities to have fought for titles, so he's got a lot of experience in that regard. And this is for a title. And DeMar Holloway has 22 fights, I believe. So we're looking at 15 fights and 22 fights. The interesting thing is this. Holloway, in all his wins, they were all finishes. In all his wins, they were all finishes. Johnson has a hit and miss. He has a couple unanimous decisions in there. I say that if we get out of the first round, we're going to have to look at Johnson as being the winner. You're going to have to expect Holloway to bring the pain in the opening part of this fight. So this could be one of those sleeper fights. and it just steals the show. I am going to go with Johnson just because it is a championship fight, and Johnson has just a bit more championship experience and a bit more composure when it comes to getting to latter rounds. Then we have Jacob Ashley taking on my guy Isaiah Monroe. This is the closest fight on the card in terms of skill sets. We're talking about clones of one another. There's no knockouts really on each guy's record. Both guys are jiu-jitsu heavy, finishes by submission. Both guys are relatively the same height, 5'11" and 6 feet. Both guys started their careers within about 4 months of one another. Ashley's 25, 26. Isaiah's 23. The amount of time they spent in the cage is roughly separated by 2 or 3 minutes. They've fought quality opponents. The only difference is Jacob's already had his championship opportunity. He just recently picked up the Spartica 145 title. This is just a tough fight, coin toss. But Isaiah has one thing in his favor, that he fought Ivan Lopachansky, who was a 4-year wrestler from Purdue with well over 130 fights, 130 wrestling matches rather, and 3 MMA fights. So it's a coin toss, but I'm going to go with my main man, Isaiah Monroe. I think he just by separation of skill sets, if I broke them down individually, Isaiah's going to have the better wrestling. Jiu-jitsu is going to be even. Isaiah's going to have the better striking, and just the caliber of opponent, especially in that of Lopachansky, Isaiah's going to have the advantage. So I'm going to give it to Isaiah Monroe. In the next fight, then we have Ryan Valentfi taking on Paris Artis. And forgive me if I'm getting Valentfi's name wrong. I've seen it spelled about 3 different ways. So I've just chosen one and gone with it. Ryan just came off a win, picking up the 55 title from Spartica, and Paris Aries Artis is the former Fight Lab 155 champion. So this is a toss-up fight in the sense that Ryan has fought recently, 2017, and Paris has been off for about a year. And Paris is undefeated with 5 stoppages. You have to weigh those factors in. Does the layoff hurt Aries? And how sharp is Ryan at this point right now? Ryan tends to be strike heavy. However, he doesn't have any finishes by strikes, at least according to Tapology and MMA.com. Just depends on how they spell the guy's name. They may be leaving off a couple of fights. And Artis has not been stopped at all. This is going to be an interesting fight, but looking at just the pure power, I'm just going to give that edge to Aries. And Aries has fought up in weight class. He's fought at 170 twice, so he's used to bigger opponents. And Ryan has fought at 170, and we probably estimate that he'll come into this fight at 170 to 180 pounds. So again, Aries is going to be ready for that. So I'm just going to lean towards Paris Aries Artis coming home with the 155 Elite Warrior Challenge title. We've got Corey Champion taking on Julius Brown. So Julius Brown has fought in Warfare 15. Corey Champion has fought in Virginia Cage Fighting. I've seen both fighters. I am going to lean this one toward. This is a toss-up fight. Brown is undefeated, but Champion has already had several championship opportunities. I'm going to lean toward Champion just because he has the experience and he has championships under his belt, and Brown is going to have to come in and take it from him. Champion tends to be a bit more grappling heavy, and Brown looks like he's ready to put your head into the 5th row. That's my 2 cents on the Elite Warrior Challenge MMA portion. Again, once I get some information about what the boxing and the Muay Thai looks like, I'll let you know. Hey, this has been Coach Sess. You've had words with the Mad Coach, and I'm out.